When you see hairdressers with faces like this, they are always angry. They rarely wear a smile, especially the ones that like to tie this kind of gele. Run, oh. They are called oversabi hairdressers. They don't mind uprooting your skull together with your hair follicles to make sure the hair is fine. There is nothing you can tell them. They will remind you that they have been a hairstylist before your father met your mother. Do you know what will happen if this type of people keep handling your hair? You would end up with terrible scalp conditions like folliculitis, scalp inflammation, carrying alopecia, or trichorexis nodosa, which we will be discussing today. But before then, hi, my name is Sahida, your Ijabi trichologist, and this is day one of our 100 days hair education series, where we unlearn the myth and relearn the truth about your hair and scalp. Trichorexis nodosa is a fancy name for hair that is so damaged. It starts snapping from within. So when we examine this your damaged hair under a microscope, the hair would look like two paint brushes facing each other. So what is happening here is that the inner core of your hair, called the cortex, are split open and frayed. Think of your hair as a big, beautiful garden full of ready-to-eat fruits, vegetables, and crops. Everything is rich, green, and healthy. But as we know, even the best garden can be destroyed if it is not protected from invaders like pests, wind, or animals. So what do farmers do? They cover their crops with something, maybe a protective net or a canopy, or even a fence, just to keep the garden safe. That covering is what your hair cuticle is like. Everybody's hair has a cuticle, which is the outer layer that protects everything inside. Now, imagine one day you forget to cover your garden. You leave the gate open, then pests start creeping in, biting little holes in the leaves. Slowly, they destroy the protection, and finally, they reach the heart of the garden, which is the fruits and vegetables themselves. Once that happens, the garden starts dying from inside, right? That is exactly what happens to your hair. Inside your hair, you have something called the cortex. This cortex makes up the bulk of your hair. It is the thick middle layer and the strongest part of the hair. That is where all the strength, elasticity, shine, and melanin lives, just like the crops in your garden. And the cuticle is the strong outer covering that shields this cortex from harm. But every time you pull your hair too tight, use too much heat, relax it too often, or brush it roughly, you are opening the gate of your garden. You are allowing the invaders to enter bit by bit. They would eat away at your cuticles until the cortex, that is the rich inner part of your hair, becomes exposed and vulnerable. Once that happens, the cortex starts breaking apart. The hair becomes weak, dry, and begins to snap. This is how conditions like trichorexis nodosa begins. In fact, when we view that hair with a trichoscope, we can see porous weak points like nodes across your hair. Take note of nodes. Nodosa. That is how the name trichorexis nodosa was formed, meaning the crops have been eaten. The garden is no longer protected. Again, to re-emphasize for the people at the back, this happens because of too much trauma on the hair, such as mechanical trauma, which means stress caused by pulling, combing, heat, or chemical